Each and every day, police hit the streets, make arrests, and put people into jail. But maybe if you knew a few things we're about to mention in this video, you can stay on the outside of the jail walls. From getting quotas to hand out tickets, to twerking parties in the UK, here are 11 things police don't want you to know. But first, we'd like to thank Foxbody for leaving us his insight on our most insane law enforcement vehicles video. We decided that you guys should learn a little bit more about what's going on with the police in the US and offer some more information about your rights and recently passed laws. Number 11. Know your rights. The first step in keeping yourself out of trouble is not to break the law. But with so many confusing laws and police being able to search you for laws that don't exist, it's a little bit harder said than done. You are basically under arrest when you no longer have the freedom to leave the scene. During a traffic stop, you are legally under arrest because you no longer have the liberty to depart, so you don't even have to say anything. It's suggested that you try to cooperate, but once the handcuffs come on, the police officer will read you your Miranda rights. This gives you the option to keep quiet as a criminal suspect and not answer any questions that the police are asking that might incriminate you. This also goes for any kind of interrogation if the police are starting to point the finger at you. This is probably a good time to also keep quiet. At this point, you also have the right to appoint a public attorney. This is basically a lawyer who you don't have to pay for. They're usually not quite as powerful as the private attorneys, but saying this will keep the cops from getting too pushy with their interrogations. They legally will not be able to ask you any more questions once you ask for an attorney, and if they do, they're breaking the law. If the cop also doesn't read you your Miranda rights, the arrest can be considered bogus and you can get off scotch-free. Number 10. Camden corruption cases. Camden, New Jersey is known for being one of the most crime-riddled cities in the US, but it turned out that it was also the police who are committing crimes here as well. When the police mess up, you pay for it too. $3.5 million in damages was given to 88 different people in 2013 to pay for damages done by police corruption in Camden, New Jersey. The police were found guilty for unlawful interrogations and planting drugs on people in order to make some arrests. One criminal suspect with the last name of Barnes was sent to prison for 418 days after being convicted of possession with intent to sell. It turns out that the cops threatened the suspect to snitch about a large drug house in the area, but Barnes really had no idea what he was talking about. They took other confiscated narcotics as evidence and would claim that he was the one who had it the entire time if he didn't fess up. More false reports were uncovered, and this was just one case out of about 150. Citizens of New Jersey are the ones who have to pay for the legal teams of the police, which can get a little bit pricey. The whole situation was out of control, and we suggest you look more into it for yourself. Number 9. Fight your tickets. But first, we have a special guest with us today from The Biggest, here to explain to you guys a few important things about law enforcement in the US.
How's it going, everyone? I'm The Biggest. Do you want to know what's going to keep some extra money in your pocket? Tell that police officer that pulled you over that you're going to see him in court because you're going to fight that ticket. Cops still need evidence to support the fact that you're doing something illegal. If you truly didn't do the crime, don't pay the fine and consider taking that matter to court.
Many people get speeding tickets or traffic tickets from police who are just handing them out like free candy from a van. The truth is, the evidence that the police would have for violations such as you using your cell phone while driving can be minimal in many cases. Cops can often lack video evidence in certain violations, but you won't know for sure until you go to court. Using some defenses, such as your actions were needed to avoid harm or to even just challenging an officer's observations could prove to be successful. Anyways, it's best to put up a fight on these situations and not just deal with giving Uncle Sam more of your hard-earned cash. They can track you.
You can certainly run from the police, but it might not be that easy, especially if you're using your cell phone.
Local police forces are becoming more and more like the NSA and are starting to use their technology to vacuum cell phone data from entire neighborhoods, according to The Guardian. It's quite frightening to know how much the NSA knows, but when secrets get out on a local level, things can get much more personal. They've also done what's known as cell phone tower dumps, which turn over the names, dates, and the numbers of all those who've been called in that area. This not only seems to be an invasion of privacy to thousands not involved in any crimes, but allows them to retain a massive amount of information on the public. They get distracted. Police often get called out to monitor large groups of people at parties and festivals, and you better believe they get distracted by more than just the laptops in their patrol cars. Some photo emerged from the UK during the Notting Hill Carnival that they probably would prefer you didn't see. It does seem a little unfair that cops would have to remain professional during a time of absolute debauchery.
This officer in the UK is supposed to be busting people for minor charges, but instead he decided it was going to be a prime opportunity to get twerked on.
British cops just seem to be a little more chill than the ones we got here in the US. Instead of firing tear gas into this unruly crowd, this cop decides to get his groove on. From this angle, it's hard to tell if he kept his pants on.
I hope you guys enjoyed this collaboration. Be sure to check out my channel, The Biggest, for more videos just like this.
Number 6. Hide your dogs. We all love having adorable dogs as pets to keep us company and to let us know when someone is coming. But if that someone who is coming is a police officer, you better hide your dogs because the police can shoot them too legally. A lawsuit was recently filed against the police department in Battle Creek, Michigan, claiming that police unlawfully shot their dogs. The cops claimed that it was necessary in order to perform a search on the property that possessed contraband. They battled it out in court and they ruled in favor of the police, not surprisingly. The new rule was issued in December 2016, which states that if a dog barks or moves when an officer enters a home, an officer is legally able to use lethal force. It seems to be a little bit of a general statement, considering that dogs bark pretty much every time someone rings the doorbell. This new law has already led to an increase in dog shootings and frantic pet owners. Number 5. Undercover Cops. A common myth that many people tend to believe is that if you ask an undercover cop if they're a cop, they legally have to respond that they are indeed a cop. The truth is, they're not dumb enough to tell you that they're actually cops, and there is no law that says they have to tell you. This is not considered to be entrapment because you were tricked into getting caught. However, a police officer does have to reveal their badge number, especially when uniformed, if you ask them to do so. But if they're undercover and you get caught, that's probably not going to hold up in court. Number 4. Quota-based policing. Police in modern-day America will tell you that you're simply not doing your job unless you reach a certain quota. No cops really want to talk about it. It might not really matter how many people that police officer saved during the past month, but if he didn't pull over a certain amount of people for DUIs, he might get into trouble. Sure, the cop's boss might be happy he saved a few lives, but that's just not going to cut it. Could the quotas have possibly something to do with the reason why some cops seem like they're out to get you? One cop from the NYPD, known as Polanco, revealed that the quota each month is 20 tickets and 1 arrest. Tickets help pay for the city, and the arrest helps make sure that possibly the privatized prisons are being filled up. These are unofficial quotas that aren't written down as a rule, but the cops know that they'll get into trouble if they don't meet the requirements. The NYPD commissioner obviously denied all the claims, but Polanco was wearing a wire and picked up a recording of where cops are discussing quotas and how to step it up. Number 3. Driving distracted. Many of us are guilty of it. You might pull out your cell phone and talk to someone while you're driving. Recently, laws have passed which make it a violation to use your phone at all while driving, even at traffic lights. This is due to concerns with public safety. The same people who are enforcing the law have a giant laptop in front of them pretty much at all times, like you see in this photo, for example, of a policeman identifying license plates on a white car. While driving and talking does have its negative aspects, many people might receive an important phone call without the access to wireless communication and are bound to answer their phones. By making this completely illegal, many believe that this is another way for police to make extra money or to give them more ways to fill their quotas. Doesn't it seem like they should be prosecuting women who put on makeup while they're driving, people who eat McDonald's while they're driving, and there's no law that says you can't read a book while driving? Anyways, the point is, things can get taken out of proportion and made illegal, which will eventually lead to more cash in the pockets of the government. Number 2. They're getting militarized. Within the past few decades or so, we've seen law enforcement in the United States getting juiced up with assault rifles, mine-resistant vehicles, military-grade body armor, and helicopters. A lot of the time, the little towns that get access to this kind of equipment may be experiencing 1 or 2 homicides a year max. This photo here shows the M113 armored vehicle that was given to the police department of Doraville, a tiny suburb of Atlanta with only 8,000 people. Other government officials have tried to ban tracked vehicles for law enforcement, but many mine-resistant ambush-protected vehicles, or MRAPs, don't even have tracks. Due to a surplus of military-grade vehicles after the Iraqi war, some police departments are trying to get their hands on what's left over. Are police in America preparing for some kind of complete breakdown of society or what? And number 1, their personal lives. It's not just criminals who don't want to make friends with cops. A lot of people are suspicious about them after they talk about their jobs. This will normally lead to them only socializing with other cops. Being extremely vigilant all the time takes its toll on many policemen's personal lives, and trying to create a home where they can unwind proves to be somewhat difficult for many police officers, even when the badge comes off. Police are permitted to carry concealed weapons with them at all times. Their schedules are often unpredictable, which results in long hours away from their families, ultimately leading to high levels of stress. They have the second highest divorce rate out of all the professions in the US, and many policemen don't want you to know about this. Statistics also seem to show that 1 in 2 women will be physically abused if they married a cop. And who is this abused woman supposed to call when something like this happens? The cops?